Welcome to Studio Chatter. I'm Craig Reeves. Today's guest is none other than my good friend from down under, Electrolyte Orchestra. Electrolyte Orchestra is a great Australian musician and producer of electronic music who has released the soundtrack to a dance production called Leviathan. It's an amazing work that was choreographed and performed by a Hobart-based youth dance company called Drill. Currently, it is available on Bandcamp, and if you're listening on YouTube, a link is in the description below. I always enjoy talking to Electrolyte, and I think you're really gonna like this conversation, so let's get right to it. Electrolyte Orchestra, how are you, my friend?
Woo! Yep, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. So first of all, I got to extend a congratulations to your 3-year anniversary with you and your girlfriend. I saw that you had posted that.
Yeah.
Wow, congrats, man.
Yeah, it's going well. I'm really happy.
Definitely. Is she supportive of your music? I would imagine she would.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we're both musicians. So she's a double bass player. And regular bass player. She also teaches. Yeah, I'm also a drum teacher and a drummer in our local scene. So we go to a lot of the same gigs and have a similar kind of goal. So it all works very well.
Oh, very nice. Have y'all thought about making music together, releasing something on in a collaborative effort?
We've definitely thought about it. We've never gotten around to really playing with all that. I guess because the kind of music I make doesn't involve a whole lot of actual live instrumentation, but it's something I'd really want to get into in the future. In fact, it's a little dangerous to say this while being recorded, but I've actually been thinking about putting a live show together for Electrolyte Orchestra called Electrolyte Orchestra.
Oh,
and that
very
would
nice.
Involve a lot more live instrumentation because I don't know how to DJ, and just watching Bad Snack's live rig scared the hell out of me. Yeah, no, but yeah, definitely something I want to play around with. And she's very talented as well. So
yeah, definitely. Are you talking about the video that Bad Snacks put up where she was talking about the setup for her live gig and all the details involving that?
The Red Rocks one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big brain.
The thing is, normally, if you are performing, you're going to hire people who are proficient in setting up live sound.
Sure, yeah.
I think with Bad Snacks, she wanted to do it all herself, possibly because she wanted to save money. And I would also say with her, she probably wanted to learn about it. She probably wanted to kind of get the feel of doing it. But most people hire sound technicians to do that for them. So that would be an option as well.
Yeah. I guess I just wouldn't really know where to start with all that.
Yeah, that would be what the sound people would set. I mean, you would let them know what you were wanting to do, and then they would be able to help you to get it all set up. So, I mean, again, I think with Bad Snacks, she's kind of a do-it-yourselfer anyway, and so she probably wanted to kind of learn the craft of doing it on her own, and so I think that might have been what happened with her. So.
Right, yeah. But yeah, no, I think it'd be fun to try and get into that.
Yeah, definitely. I really do like your music a lot.
Thank you.
And what's really cool about your sound in particular is because the genre in which you do music would be future bass. That's what I would say. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it's probably the closest I'd get. Yeah. I really have a hard time trying to keep track of all the subgenres of electronic music going on. And I don't think about it at all when I'm producing.
What I really like about your sound is that a lot of future bass to me all kind of sounds the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you really can't tell one artist from the other, but your stuff has a very musical sound, and I think that's missing in a lot of future bass music.
Right. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, a lot of the future bass that I hear, it's just kind of, you know what I mean? It's cool. It's really cool. It definitely has a place, but it gets a little exhausting. Like if you were to put together like this large hour-long future bass album, I don't know if I'd be able to get through it all if it were just a regular future bass artist. Nothing against the genre. I got all the respect in the world for it, but
Well, that's kind of how I feel about rhythm a lot of the time. Is like I've seen like ads for like a compilation rhythm album where it's just like all the drops like put next to each other, and I just it's just so much of the same. It's like
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what rhythm is. So
you should give it a spin.
I've never heard of it. Rhythm.
It's kind of like a lot of the stuff that like Virtual Riot makes, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's on the upper end of rhythm though. Like his stuff's very, very intricate and well thought out. But yeah, a lot of it's just kind of like same tempo, same kind of sound. You'd probably know it if you heard it.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
I'm not an expert on rhythm though.
yeah, you recently worked on a project that I found very interesting. It was called Leviathan.
Yeah.
And it was a dance show that was choreographed by a Hobart, which is the city that you live in Australia. A Hobart-based performance company called Drill. They're a dance company.
Yeah.
And in particular, they're a youth dance company. And you did the music for their production, Leviathan, and you just now put it up, the soundtrack you put up on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
What was that like doing music for a dance company's production?
It's very, very cool. So this is actually the third composition I've done for this company, and they've just this time gotten a new artistic director. So the founder and previous artistic director retired and moved on, and every single different work's been a different process. Actually, no, the previous two have been the new artistic director. So the first one I actually did, it was called Neon, and it was based on three different elements. I think it was carbon, lithium, and is it krypton? I think it was, krypton. And I actually did that in collaboration with the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra, which is our local big orchestra. So with that, I actually composed music for that orchestra. I did like a string orchestra, and then I took those recordings and reworked that into an electronic work as well. And that was very, very that was a very intense experience for sure. Having your work having to be read and played by professional orchestral musicians. It was a very different process to that I'm working with usually. So that one was very cool, and then they really liked my stuff and kept me on.
Wow. Because, I mean, you said you made music. You wrote and composed music for the Tasmanian Symphony.
Yeah.
So, look, I grew up in a classical background. I mean, that was my background in music. And when I went to university, I majored in piano performance and composition.
Right.
And I wrote an orchestral piece myself, and it is a very different animal because you have to make sure that the music that you're writing can actually be played
absolutely
by the orchestra. So you have to kind of know something about the instruments. You have to definitely, and not only do you have to
got to know what strings are available, what's next to each other.
Yeah, and not only that, but you also have to make sure that the balance is going to be right because it's live instruments, and so you got to make sure, because like if you're having, for instance, the trumpets and the trombones and the French horns all blasting loud, you're going to drown out the woodwinds. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep all that stuff in consideration.
Yeah.
Have you had training in classical composition or stuff like that? Or did you just kind of learn it to do the project?
Yeah, at university, I majored in music technology, but I did a minor in composition. So I did 2 years of working with Sibelius and composing for various different instruments and ensembles. I sort of mostly worked around strings and piano, just because I like those instruments a lot, and I found brass and woodwind quite intimidating in that they're breath instruments, and you need to make sure your players can breathe and all the register stuff. And I was a little less confident with really diving into that stuff.
I tried to look for a video or something to the live performance, and I couldn't find it. Does Drill put up videos of their performances, or do you just got to see it live or you missed it? Because I didn't find a video of the performance for Leviathan.
Yeah, the performance was quite recent. It was only a month or so ago. They do have footage of it, and I'm not sure exactly if they're planning to put it out. I said that I was comfortable with them putting it out. They didn't include that in our contract with my music, so if I were to tell them that they can't use the music, then they wouldn't be able to. But I'm personally very happy for them to do that, and I really hope they do, because it was a really cool performance. Like all the lighting and stuff was very impressive, and yeah, no, it's so rewarding to do that kind of stuff. Like, because it's one thing to make music and put it out; it's another to put it to film or something like that. You get a whole different context. But with a live performance, I made the music. And I went to a lot of the rehearsals where they were putting it together. But like, there's a whole different energy when you actually perform it in the venue in front of an audience. Because like all the lighting's put together, all of the dancers like really give it an extra 20%, like an extra 50%. Like they really bring it with an audience there, and the way it all comes together is just super rewarding. And I really hope I get to keep doing it.
Yeah, I have a little bit of experience doing music for dance myself. When I was in college, I put together music, definitely not like a long 50-minute production. I didn't do that, but I did music for a maybe 8-minute dance number on a larger show. And I'll tell you, it was a really cool experience, because one of the things that you always have to keep in mind when you're doing dance music, like not like dance music, but music for dance, is that you always have to kind of give the dancers room to express themselves.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of moments where there's not a lot going on, because you got to give the dancers time to go from one place on the stage to the other.
Yeah.
That was was that something that you experienced as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously to an extent. I was working with the choreographer very closely and going to those rehearsals and playing the latest version of the track that they're dancing to, and finding where things need to take a bit more time, where they need to get places quicker, where things are sort of a bit overbearing or not matching up with the tone, like. And getting all that sort of feedback while working and just making those adjustments was really helpful. And the lead choreographer, she was very good at communicating what needed to change, and generally is pretty easy to implement those changes. And just having a solid choreographer that's good at communicating really helps to make the whole thing smoother.
Definitely. So the soundtrack to Leviathan is available on Electrolyte Orchestra's Bandcamp, and there's going to be a link to it if you're watching it on YouTube in the description box below. One of the things that we always ask every episode is, how did Electrolyte Orchestra get started? How did you go from a little kid pulling the arms and legs off of action figures to the great musician that we see today?
Yeah,
I don't know if you played with action figures when you were a kid,
I
but I know
my
I
action
did.
figures. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, great action figures, and all the McDonald's Happy Meal toys.
Yeah.
I started very young as a drummer. My parents are both quite musical. My mum is also a really competent woodworker and maker, and she actually put together a little drum kit for me from formula tins. So I sort of got banging on that before I can really remember. So I've been doing music in some form for a very long time, and eventually graduated to an actual drum kit, which was gifted to me by a family friend. Did a fair bit of like busking as a kid as well. So that's how I actually earned a lot of my money originally, just busking at Salamanca, which is a really good tourist kind of waypoint.
Oh, nice.
Just sort of drum with my headphones on, playing along with some music. And yeah, and ended up getting a few crowds and made a decent bit of money for like a 7-year-old or whatever, couple thousand, I think.
Very nice.
And that went towards that was all saved up. Like my parents only gave me like $10 to spend from each session, which I usually went and bought an action figure for my efforts, but that actually went towards buying a really nice drum kit, a DW Collectors series. Oh, not Collectors, sorry. No, I'm not. I didn't make that much busking. A DW Performance series. And yeah, so I've been drumming for a long time, but with composition and music production, I actually started on GarageBand like a lot of people do, just putting loops together and seeing how they fit and trying different combinations. And I just really loved that. And that sort of developed into wanting to pursue that more. And on our school computers, we had Studio One. I'm not sure which version, but that was cool having that sort of door to really mess around with and really get into that, which was a bit more in depth and making my own sort of loops rather than just using the Apple loops. And then, yeah, eventually moved on to Logic. I think my mum was doing a course in Logic at the time, so I just used that, and then eventually.
Oh, your mom?
Yeah. She wanted to.
Does she do production too?
She does a bit. Yeah, she dabbles. She's not pursuing a career in it or anything, but she's definitely been improving like a lot, especially lately with like all the lockdowns and stuff.
Nice.
And I've been giving her a few lessons as well. So, yeah, no, she really likes it. But yeah, I'm really grateful that she did that, because having Logic, obviously, way more powerful than GarageBand, and I was really able to get into sound design and all the sort of more in-depth stuff and, plugins and that kind of stuff.
And you've since moved to Ableton Live, right?
Yeah. I took an Ableton Live course at uni and was thoroughly converted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was just like through that course.
That seems to be a pipeline, the Logic to Ableton pipeline. A lot of people go from Logic to Ableton.
I think
Bad Snacks went from Logic to Ableton.
Well, I think with like specifically electronic music, Ableton, the things that are really annoying and like just a little bit complicated for no reason in Logic are seamless in Ableton, like navigating the timeline and duplicating clips and like being able to duplicate just like the highlighted length of a selection rather than like the loop itself. Like, and I might have just been using Logic wrong, but I just found Ableton far more intuitive for a lot of the things that I was doing regularly. And
Ableton definitely seems built around making beats. You know what I mean? It seems built around that aspect of production. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best when it comes to producing vocals.
No.
Or I would even say mixing, but it's really, really good when it comes to making tracks, which
Absolutely.
is why I think a lot of people who primarily make instrumental music who use Logic find Ableton a lot more freeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Logic is really more kind of like a general purpose DAW, kind of like the DAW that I use, Cakewalk by BandLab, which I do use Ableton Live as well. I use both. And I find that Logic and Cakewalk and Studio One and Cubase and DAWs like that are kind of more general purpose DAWs. They're kind of trying to be good at everything, whereas like a DAW like FL Studio and Ableton are really like centered around making tracks.
Yeah. Well, I do actually really appreciate that about a lot of these DAWs, is that they have their own niche. Like, so, it really is like, what do you want to do? You'll have a DAW for that. Cause I'm pretty sure like the film scoring go-to is Logic, and like virtual orchestration in
Digital
that is
Performer's still big for that one.
And obviously Pro Tools is king at recording actual, bands and, live instrumentation and that kind of stuff, and mixing, more of those kinds of tracks. And and Logic.
What instruments do you play?
Yeah, I'm really just a drummer for the most part, but I do dabble in a lot of things like, I do a little bit of doodling on the guitar.
Because I'm seeing guitars in your studio, and
yeah, well,
you
got to
obviously play keyboard as well.
Not well. I don't play keyboard well. No.
Yeah.
I really want to get better at keys.
Guitar is one of those instruments that everybody has in their studio but can't play. Like, I have 2 guitars in my studio and can't play damn one of them.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't call myself anything but a drummer, really. I'm not good at anything to the point where I'd say I'm a keyboard player, you know. I do have an accordion. I like my accordion. I don't play it well.
Oh, cool.
But mostly for the keys, I just use it for testing synth patches, and when I need a little lead sound, I do my little flumey, out of time kind of glitchy kind of lead sound with that, and I think it works because I can't really play it.
Very interesting. One of the things that you mentioned you did, and I just want to kind of give the listeners a little bit of context. You said that you did busking.
Yeah.
I just want to let people know what that is, because some people may not know what it is. Busking is basically like you're a street musician.
Yeah.
And if you ever see people on the street playing and they got a little hat and people are putting money in it, that's basically what busking is.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to let people know that.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Australia.
Yep.
So you're currently based in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, people can hear the accent. And so we're really testing this internet connection, because this is the furthest away I've ever interviewed somebody for a podcast. I mean, it was England, which I did the episode with Imagiro. So we're really testing the internet connection when it comes to Australia. Imagiro, yeah. I'm so used to saying Imagiro.
No, I always thought it was Imagiro
to me.
Yeah,
like that's how he says his own name. Yeah, he pronounces his own name as Imagiro, and it's funny because people used to refer to him as Imagiro, and I used to say, no, it's Imagiro, and then he said, no, I'm Imagiro, and I'm like, okay,
whoops.
All right, whatever. But have you thought about moving to the United States to see if you could kind of jumpstart the career?
Look, yeah,
that's a pretty big move, I know.
Definitely not at this stage for many reasons. No, I think one of the really good things about Hobart is it actually does have quite a thriving music scene down here, but one that's like not super saturated. Like it's got a lot of the same kind of musicians that play in lots of different bands, and what I really like about that is we're all really good friends for the most part. Everyone sort of knows each other and will support each other, you know. And if you need a fill-in for something, there's usually several options of musicians that you already know. But like, especially in terms of teaching work, there's not a huge amount of competition down here. And with the composition as well, I'm already getting my name out there locally and getting presented a lot of opportunities. Like, I'm really bad at seeking out opportunities for things to showcase my work, but being in Hobart, these opportunities keep presenting themselves to me regardless, which is really cool. And I just really love it down here in general. So I'm sort of hoping to stay down here in the long term. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm open to moving for sure, but for now at least,
not to the United States though, right?
It's not super
because
appealing to me.
You seemed really opposed to moving to the United States. I mean, you were like, no, I ain't moving down there.
No, not in the immediate future. We'll see.
I mean, I can understand. I mean, you living in Australia, at least y'all got healthcare down there. We don't have that here. So.
We like shitting on our government as much as anyone, but when you really look at the bigger picture, we're not doing too bad.
Yeah. I mean, America's not either. I mean, you know, the Western world, there are places that are far worse off than both Australia and the United States.
Yeah.
So you have dabbled into working with artists.
Yeah.
And I am very curious to see how that's going, because that is something that I think you would be really good at, because a lot of future-based artists, they really find stardom by working with artists and having artists feature on their music.
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely want to to get into it more. It's like just one of those things on the long list of things I really want to do that I just keep forgetting to really cross things off. No, yeah. My sister is an amazing vocalist, and I'm producing an EP for her currently. So we've already got one song out called "Sleep Till You Get Here." She's called Naomi Thompson.
Oh wow!
And so that one's already out.
Naomi Thompson. Okay.
And yeah,
All
it's
right.
like I'm getting some experience making some genres that I'm not really used to doing, and definitely working with vocalists is something I've done in the past, but I've released very little of it. And it's like, yeah, it's a whole other thing for sure. Trying to make sure they stand out, and
It's a different animal.
yeah. I mean, I love my instrumental music, but you often do just have a track where you're like, this really needs a vocal on it. I need to share the stardom with someone else, and it is good fun. Like, and it's very rewarding getting just a killer track with some good vocals on it. It's like it's a really cool thing. So yeah, no, like I'm definitely looking to do that a bit more. So anyone wants some tracks produced, hit me up.
Have you gotten into doing writing sessions with various artists? Like, have you helped with songwriting efforts and things like that, particularly with your sister?
Yeah, no, not really. I like one track I helped write some vocals for, but
I would highly recommend it.
Yeah,
it's a really cool experience. I think the best vocal pop producers, and really the best vocal music producers, period, are the ones who get involved and who at least have some background in songwriting.
Yeah.
I think it helps. I really do.
I'm sure it would. I'm awful at writing lyrics.
Well, it's one of those things you get better at over time.
It's such a hard line to walk, is like keeping something clever but not pretentious or like edgy or cheesy or like or too goofy. Like just finding that middle ground is like, depending on, like, if you're writing a goofy song, it's a little bit simpler. You can just muck around and have fun. But like, if you want it to be like somewhat serious, I just find it so hard to not just sound cheesy, edgy, whatever. Like it's tricky.
Yeah, one of the things that I used to always say, and I didn't come up with this phrase, but you don't want to sound too much like a songwriter. That's what you always hear people tell singers who are writing. You don't want to sound too much like a songwriter when you're trying to write lyrics. Really, it's more about just honest lyrics more than clever wordplay. And
I love honest sounding music. Like I'm really loving. I'm really gonna butcher this name. Mike Pergoli. Mike. He's on the Bad Snacks Discord server.
Oh yeah, I just call him MC Pogs.
MC Pogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Like his like songwriting and vocal style is just right up my alley. I really love it.
Well, I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that.
If I can feel like you're speaking from the heart in your songwriting, like you've got me hooked.
So you did put out an EP last year, and I did listen to it. It was called Electrolytes and Orchestras.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that album. It was really, really good.
Thank you.
Have you thought about releasing music on labels? Have you hit labels up? Because a lot of future-based artists will try to put their music out on labels. Have you thought about that? Like, have you thought about hitting up Bitbird or Seeking Blue or some of these other labels?
Perhaps. I did. With that EP, I did submit that, through Submit Hub to a few different places and didn't get any bites. Even some more local ones, I didn't really any response from that at all. And I'm really bad at like really going for these kinds of things and bugging people and like continuing to send messages until I get a response. So I'm really bad at pushing my own brand, which is something I'd really want to get better at. In terms of like, would I go with a label? I definitely wouldn't mind because, as I've said, I hate advertising. So if someone was able to do that for me, that'd be a dream come true.
Well, really, to be honest with you, a lot of the labels. Now, look, I don't know much about that scene, the electronic music scene, but what I do see, and it's just a pattern, okay, that the kind of, I guess, rising stars in the electronic music scene, particularly in Los Angeles and like the West Coast, they all seem to know each other. You know what I mean? That kind of community of like brownies and lemonade residents, they all seem to know each other.
Yeah.
And it's like once you're kind of in that clique, then you start getting opportunities and doors open for you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of them has to co-sign you, and then all of a sudden it's like you're on the list for a lot of these big functions and festivals that happen, and you know you're touring with them, and it just seems like it's kind of a who you know type of situation. I'm not taking anything away from their talent, but it does seem like there's kind of a club that you got to be in, and if you're not in the club, you don't get the opportunities, and if you are, you get a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it just might be that you're not, because I mean your music is as good as anybody's I've heard in that scene. Now obviously I'm not like an expert of the type of music you do, but I like it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And I'm a pretty hard judge.
I'm pretty happy with my my production abilities and my songwriting abilities. I'm pretty happy with all that. It's just the whole release kind of a whole shenanigans around a release that really hold me back, I think. And you know,
how old are you?
I'm 24. I had to think about that for a second there.
24.
24.
So you're around their age.
Yeah. No, it's life is passing
they're
me
like
by.
23, 24. I want to say Paulina Hare is like 24, 23 or 24. And then I think Tsunami, who's another one, I think she's 20. And then I want to say, I don't know how old San Holo is. But then there's more Kismet, who's I think 16 or 17. And then
Jesus.
You have a couple of others on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
just goes to show how accessible making music has become. Like all these youngsters have the equipment to be big names.
Yeah.
It's really
and these
cool.
are people who, and they're really good. I mean, they're very talented. But I mean, I hear your music, and it's like your music would fit in on some of these playlists, because I hear the Creamy playlist or like on Spotify, and you know, your music would fit right in. And look, I've talked to death about these editorial playlists on Spotify. A lot of it really has to do with somebody at Spotify's editorial playlist just knowing who you are.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of in that club, if you're kind of in that clique of producers who are all kind of friends and know each other, you might see some opportunities come your way. I mean, look, this business is about relationships. It really is. And I'm not like trying to pressure you to move into the United States, because I don't think you have to.
If Bad Snacks is listening, record label would be sick. That'd be great. So I feel like especially
hey, I tried
in this community, I feel like that exact kind of thing. Everyone's super supportive of each other, and I've really grown to appreciate that so much over the past year. Like in my hometown, like there's not a huge electronic music scene, at least not one that I'm a part of, and making the same kind of stuff that I do. And not that like that many people in the Discord have the same kind of genre as I do, but just being able to regularly communicate with other producers is very, very cool, because most of my friends, like while they are musicians, don't really know all that much about producing music. So a lot of the kind of nerdy stuff and just like that kind of side of things goes way over their heads. So that is very cool. Being a part of a producer community, definitely rate it. Yeah,
for sure. And one of the things that we kept bringing up was the Bad Snacks Discord community. And I'll kind of give a brief description of what that is. So there's a producer by the name of Bad Snacks who I had on this show. And she's a very, very talented producer. And during the quarantine, she started using Twitch. She started streaming on Twitch. And her Twitch stream became pretty popular because she was already popular before she ever got on Twitch. And she then started a Discord channel. And that's how you and I met, because we both were fans of Bad Snacks. And so we met each other on the Discord channel. And so I'm very curious how you came to know Bad Snacks.
Yeah, no, it was through the Four Producers One Sample video with Andrew Hong. Yeah. I thought she hands down won that battle. Virtual Rights was very cool. But yeah, no, I just loved...
A lot of people thought Virtual Riot killed it.
Well, he did. Yeah, no, but I thought
she won it too.
Yeah, no, I thought that track was so cool. So yeah, sort of think I must have followed her Instagram after that and saw that she had a Twitch and a Discord and jumped on that train. And yeah, it's been really cool. Like, it's just such a cool community she's created, and the feedback streams have been very valuable to me. Just having someone a group of people to share and get that info on that.
Yeah, let me explain what that is. So every Friday for quite some time, and hopefully she'll start doing it again, but she's kind of busy moving to another part of the country. And definitely our prayers go out to her and everything going smoothly as far as her moving to Maine from Portland. But she would basically allow people to submit their music, and she would listen to it and she'd get feedback. And what's really cool about that is the fact that we all got to listen to each other's music. It was a way for us all to, like, one of the reasons that I really enjoyed playing my music was not just because I liked her feedback, but I just wanted everybody else to hear my music.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
and so it was a really, really cool experience.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, just having someone to share that with without having to put it out into like the wide world. Like, if you got something that you're not sure like what the vibe is, if people will like it or not before releasing, it's just a great space to test drive that and get those sort of final details polished out with the feedback. And yeah, I really loved it, and I do hope it continues again. But I understand she's got a lot on her plate. I'm not gonna be too pushy.
Yeah, she's a busy lady. So any future plans you have as far as music goes? Because I know you're starting to work with artists. Do you have anything else going on?
Well, I just need to start putting more music out there. So hoping to just really I've got a few tracks that are finished that I'm sitting on a little bit that just need to get put out. And I'm still very indecisive whether to do singles or put them together in an EP or something. Other than that, I've also got a drum sample pack that is very near done. I'm just sort of looking at places to put that out. Is Bandcamp a normal place to release a sample pack?
Well, I don't know, but I will say that Sellfy, I don't know how you say it. Is it Selfie or Sell? It's SELLFY.
Right.
That's where a lot of people are selling their pack, their sample packs.
Right.
Because Bad Snacks she's selling her strings sample packs on there, and then The Count for a long time has sold his drum sounds on that site.
Right.
And unlike a site like Splice, you don't have to get their approval on what should be in the pack or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good way of selling your stuff. So I would go with them.
So I'll look into Selfie, but yeah, it's a lot of acoustic drum sounds. I've tried to be very thorough with it, and I've actually been using a lot of them lately just because I've needed those kinds of sounds and I've gone to them. It's very easy. So I got a kick drum, but that sort of doubles as like a big kind of boom kind of a drum, like a giant tom, because it's quite a small kick drum. I've done some snare sounds and some cymbal sounds as well, so hi-hats and crashes and stuff.
Do you have any drum fills in there? Like or whatever?
No, but I have done like various flams and rudiments and things, so people will be able to sort of easily get those kind of organic rhythms together by cutting them up and putting them together. I've done a little bit of that myself.
Oh, you got to put the drum fills in.
I've been thinking of doing another pack where I do actual grooves and fills, but I don't have the recording set up to do a full drum kit currently. But yeah, hopefully down the line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, now that you've talked about it on this podcast episode, now you actually have to do it because it's out there in the world
out there.
now, and people are going to be expecting it.
They're going to be knocking on my door. Yeah.
But you know what, though? One of the things that I found in life is that when you tell somebody else that you're going to do something, you're far more likely to actually get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got someone to hold you accountable.
Because there's kind of an accountability there. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Electrolyte Orchestra, this has been great. Thank you so much for doing this. And I know that you are going to have an amazing career in the future.
Oh, thank you very much. I look forward to it. And Craig, I'm keen for you to put some stuff out yourself as well.
Absolutely, I'm going to.
Hell yeah.
There is definitely some stuff coming out on the horizon. It's just that I got to finish it.
Yeah. We hold each other accountable.
Yeah, between doing this podcast and working with my artist and all this other stuff, yeah, it's a little hard to find time, but I'm definitely going to keep at it. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of Studio Chatter. Until next time, you guys stay safe and be blessed.